Amazing. All right, awesome. So we're gonna get into like super cool. Okay, so Twilight decides that she is going to open a school of friendship, a school of friendship, a school where she can teach basically kind of what the main six have been learning for, the entire show, and basically, decades of their lives have gone to, understanding these fundamental qualities and just the concept of friendship, which is so powerful. And so she decides she's going to take everyone, come together, and they're going to form a school, right? Which is like ridiculously cool. Because now what they're doing is that they have this school, right? Like, not only are they just like teaching what they have, which is already insanely cool, but what they're doing is they're taking like a cumulative, like decades of cumulative knowledge, right? Putting it all together in like one mastermind, and then figuring out sort of the best way to transfer that to new kids, new students, whatever, right? Through a single stream of information. The way they do that, of course, through the school, but it's so powerful because what they're doing here is they're not just making a school just for fun, right? Or just to say, oh, we have a school, right? They're doing it because they have a purpose, right? They have a mission, and the whole mastermind comes together, and they say, we want to create something that's bigger than ourselves. We want to do something that's more than just us. Because they've seen the power of what they can do alone, and they realize that if they could transfer this to just a couple of people, it would be worth all the effort to create this massive school, which is going to take a whole lot of work to do. But they realize that this is so crucial, and this is so powerful, and it will have such a huge impact on not just a couple people, but also all the people that those people touch, right? And then all the people that they touch. And it'll just have such a huge effect on not only themselves, but all of the world around them, that it's just flat out a no-brainer for them to do this. And they're like, yeah, 100%, man, we are going to make this school. Because the purpose of this school far outweighs the cost and time, effort, energy, whatever, that it's going to actually take to make this. And so really, that's exactly what they do. They decide, what, we're going to go hard. We've decided what our goal is. Remember, quick to decide, slow to change your decisions. They say we're quick to decide, we're going to make our decision here. We're going to make this school. And so they all come together, they all start, building it and getting contractors and everything together. Just going through the normal process of a building, which is cool. And so they decide, go through the process. They know that this matters, and they know that there are more and more people that they can impact than ever before. So they go over to this school board that they call them the EEA, but it's just this group of it's just a mastermind basically of some of the most powerful academic directors in the world. And so basically all the colleges have to go through them to get accredited so that they can be universities or colleges, whatever. So Twilight goes over here, and there's this one guy, his name's Naysayer, which is Chancellor Naysay, which is his suiting name. And everyone's a little skeptical on the idea of having a school of friendship. And then Chancellor Naysay comes out, and he thinks that this is the worst idea ever, and that it's going to be awful, and that this is going to destroy the whole world, and it's going to let, other species besides ponies, use the power of friendship, take over the world. It's going to create tons and tons of evil. And the big takeaway here is is you start to do anything that's big, anything that's going to affect literally thousands, not hundreds, thousands of millions of people. There are always going to be naysayers, right? Chancellor Naysay. What do you think the point of that is? The point of it is to overcome the challenge and to say, you know what? Twilight, she goes and she says, I accept your challenge. I know that it will be difficult to become an accredited university. It will be tough to make it happen. And we might not win the first time, but you know what? I'm going to do this anyway. Because I know that we can meet your requirements. And so they build this huge school, and they make it happen, because the worst thing you can do is to cease taking action out of fear that somebody else is going to come and mess something up. Because in all reality, that will happen every single time you do anything worthwhile, no matter what. And all you have to do is power through it and just freaking go hard. And that's exactly what Twilight does here, and it is so powerful. It has such a huge impact on so many people. It's not just her, right? And then they have a couple of kids coming. They have like 30, 50 kids. Like it's small at the beginning. And then they also make the decision to just kind of show most of the daily lives of 6 main younger ponies. So there's just kind of like 6 main students that will follow around a little bit. And those are like the key students that we kind of see. As they open up the school, they have this huge grand opening, and everyone comes together. And we start to meet some of the characters, which is super, super fun. And we'll start to see them a little bit more throughout this season and throughout the next season. And they'll be pretty crucial soon enough, and we'll see how they develop. But the key is, right, that the main 6, they're starting, right? They're doing it. And as they open up the school, Chancellor Naysay comes from here. He comes over and he's like, oh, this is terrible, blah, 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 blah. But they're like, dude, we don't care. We're opening our school. We're going to make it happen. And so they introduce, all the students, they come with their parents because they're like kids, I guess. And everyone meets each other. They get dorms. It's like a boarding school, I guess. And everything looks like super, super, super exciting. And then school starts. And when school starts, it gets off to a bumpy start because they're trying their best. They're really going hard, but it's a little bit tough. So let's let them kind of show how this works out because they just do such a great job with it.
The School of Friendship, first day of class. Will we fail or will we pass? Students come from far and wide. Brand new friends here by our side. Take a breath, look around, it's amazing. I can't believe that it's real. Students galore, new ideas to explore. Can't contain the excitement I feel. Can't mess up, can't afford a mistake now. Think success, keep it firmly in sight. Make sure to do things by the book. Make sure to do it all right. Friendship must get to class. Will we fail or will we pass? Students learning from the best, taking notes to pass the test. Wait, hold on, not like that, just a second. I'm not sure if that method's approved. Let me take a look, yep, right here in the book. Come on, we just got in the groove. Can't mess up, can't afford a mistake now. We are shaping young minds to ignite. Do it like it says in the book. Now make sure you're doing it right. There's not an equation on how to have fun. The students look bored now, well, what have I done?
Can't teach, being honest, not sure what to do. I'm quite certain I'm lost.
None of us has a clue. School of Friendship, another class. Wish it were more of a blast. Thought this school would be more fun. Can't wait for our classes to be done. Can't mess up, can't afford a mistake now. No way to have fun. Oh, what have I done? Think success, keep it firmly in sight. Wish that we could leave. We don't have a clue. Listen to this one request. Make things fun, we're really stressed. Make sure to do things by the book now. Can we tell her this thing is a mess?
So like everything gets messed up because they try to follow this guy's rules. And this guy's rules, they just don't work for the situation. They just aren't suitable. They don't have the results that they want. And as they try to like force them onto everybody, right? They are literally focusing like so heavily on just pumping. You have to do it the right way. You have to follow the rules. And at first, like, it sucks because like these guys are legit and they do need to listen to them. But at the same time, there's no way for any of the main 6 to have the impact that they want and the change that they want to have on these kids' lives if they can't do it their way. And they need some flexibility. They need to customize it. They need to push it in their own direction, which is exactly what they do. They tell Twilight, look, this isn't going to work. It's not working. We need to go on the beaten road. We need to go on a different path. we need to go against the tradition and do it our way. And so that's really like exactly what they do, and that doesn't really work out too well. So at first, I try to go on these trips, and they try to go on like a field trip, right? And just, long story short, we don't have too much time, but this is a really crucial point. Basically, like, all the kids just get sick of these rules, right? And they have to they just kind of like run away. And they all go on this big trip into the forest. These 6, main ones, they go on this big trip in the forest, and they just like leave, basically. And then Chancellor Naysay comes, and he's like patrolling the school, and he's trying to, see if anything's right, anything's wrong. And basically, like, all the kids, or at least, a good chunk of the kids, because the main 6 here, the little 6, they're pretty huge. And basically, like, they're all gone, and everyone's freaking out. And this guy basically says that Twilight, her friends, their school, is just done. And that they are unresponsible. They can't do it right. And they cannot be a school. And so because he has the power of this, like, big mastermind of people, basically what he does is he just like shuts down the school, and he puts like this spell on the school and kind of like locks all the doors, and it like magically closes the entire school, which is just kind of insane. And that's how the first part ends. Then we get to the second part. So in the second part, you kind of tell by the picture, I mean, a little bit happier at the end, but there's a lot of stuff that has to go on to get there, which is great, but at a fundamental level, they need to understand where they're coming from, and they need to figure out how they can not work, against the kids or force the kids to go to school, right? Because that just won't work in the long term. Can't force people to do things, but instead they need to focus on getting consent and making it happen organically, so that they can come together as a group, as a team, and as a mastermind to work towards a common goal of education, not just one singular set idea of, go through all these classes over and over and over, when in reality they're not actually covering the content. This is a big distinction I see. There's this difference of like going to school for, information on one side, or, just to do it, right? Just to get a degree, whatever, right? And on one hand, you have like all the growth and all the internal drive, and that's exactly what these kids have, right? These kids have the internal drive. They want this information, and yet they're being served. They aren't being served it in a way that gives them the information. They're being served in a way that's designed to get them, the degree, and to make it look official, and to make it look like they did a bunch of work. But that's not what they came there for. They came there for the information, and that's the most important part for, you can kind of see like you have the main little 6, the main 6, and then there's like, maybe 10 other students, I'd say. But it's like, it focuses on them because they're, a representation of, the main 6, they're being represented as these 6, they come together and they form their first initial bonds. They realize that, they can come together and be a team, right? And they're trying to follow their teachings of their teachers, and they're following what they're saying to do is, make friends and win friends and influence people. And what happens is really, really interesting. So they close the school, or at least, this guy locks up the entire school. The main 6, they come together and they realize like they've got to find these kids who have gone off to some place in nowhere land, and they don't know what to do. And at this point, basically, like they could care less, about Naysay and his board. And then now, now that everything's been shut down, like all they really are worrying about is like just making sure everyone's safe. And these kids have parents, right? So they gotta find these kids, right? So really, like what they realize is this is gonna create a problem, right? So the school gets closed, and all of the parents, come back, right? So everyone's parents come, and they're like, "Hey, where the heck are our kids?" And what's like insane is that these guys don't know where their kids are, right? Their kids have just gone away, No one knows where they are. And so what they start doing is the worst thing possible. They start arguing, and they start arguing about whose fault it is that the kids are gone, whose fault it is that the school got closed, and they're the worst, and he's the worst, and someone's worse, blah, blah, blah. And they do like the worst thing possible, which is degrade one another, and just bad, because remember these, their parents or their guardians are basically the leaders of these different species. So like for the little 6, like they're all different species. You can kind of see, Yona's like this big yak, but then there's also, griffins, there's also ponies, there's also sea ponies, right? And there's changelings. So it's the dragons, a bunch of different species, sort of to represent all the differences that they come into the school with. And even though they all have these differences, they still come together as friends. And they still go off on this big expedition into faraway land, even though they're different. Because what? Because they were around, at least for a very confined, fine period of time, they were around a very great example that showed them how to differentiate themselves from the crowd and move away from what most people do, and instead come together to form something that's much more powerful than an individual could ever even dream of, and that is a mastermind. It's a younger mastermind, but it's a mastermind. And so it cuts to these kids, their parents are arguing, no one knows what the heck to do because the school is like messed up. And these guys, they are freaking out. They're like, dude, what in the world, where did he go? And basically they went to like the Castle of the Two Sisters, which is a big castle in the middle of the forest. And they get surrounded by, I mean, they're just walking through the castle, and one of them, Seabar, he's the pony one, he comes and he gets cupcakes for everybody, right? And so the main six they're in Pinkie Pie's little like cupcake store, and Seabar comes and he picks up like a bunch of cupcakes and then walks out the door. And then they're like, oh my gosh, where could they be? And then Pinkie Pie's like, hey, maybe we should like follow the guy who just got a bunch of cupcakes and it's from the school. And so they follow him, and he comes to these guys, and they're at this big castle in the middle of the forest, right? And he leads everybody to them, and he brings all the food. And of course, you know, the main six, they followed him there. And when they get there, they don't immediately pop out. They give it a sec. They give it a sec because they want to see what's going on. And what happens is just berserk, right? These guys start getting attacked by, like, you remember cockatrices, right? They get attacked sort of like those, but a little bit smaller. Just these, like, bad, like, animals that basically are like huge porcupines. And they're trying to, like, you know, jam spikes at them and attack them with their, like, spikes or whatever. And so they're, like, freaking out. They don't know what to do. And so they, like, band together, and they're, like, trying to fight off all these porcupines. It's just bad situation. And then their teachers come out, and, you know, the main six come, and they save the day, and everyone's happy. And they come back together, they get reunited, and they're like, yo, you guys almost got, like, killed. Why the heck did you run away? And basically, they're like, you know, we just didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do because their situation was full of tension. The situation was full of negativity. And because of that, they ran away. Because most people, especially those in a positive, like-minded group, in a mastermind, they will run away from negativity. And that's exactly what they do, and it just totally changes everything. It's ridiculously powerful. And so they realize that, like, it's better for them to be in this place in the middle of nowhere as a group of positive friends than it is to be in this, you know, friendship school where everything is negative and everything's attacking them. And it's just a bad situation to be in, like they talked about in their song, which was, you know, it's the transition that they made into a better place. And that's exactly what they did. That's what so many people will do, right? So they will run away from negativity and run towards positivity. So if you can be that positivity and be the leader of a group and run towards that positivity, you're going to have much greater impact, much greater success, much greater proliferation of information. You're going to be able to achieve so much more by sort of getting away from the trouble and moving towards a better future. Basically what happens after this is pretty cool. So, you know, they get the kids to come back, and then they show their parents, hey, look, all these kids just became really good friends. We must be teaching them something right. And the parents are like, you know, in the Twilight's like, hey, can they stay here and keep learning? And then basically what the kids do is they just kind of like convince their parents to, you know, stop arguing, first of all, if they're still arguing, which is ridiculous. So they convince them to stop arguing, and then they kind of convince them to just let them stay at school because they think it's the coolest thing ever, and they say how cool it is. And then they're like, sure, all right, sure, you got it. And then what's really interesting, and this is the big dope transition. This is just insane. So, you know, Chancellor Naysay is still here, and, you know, he says basically, like, you guys can't open your school. I just closed your school. You can't open your school. And Twilight looks them dead in the eyes. She says that the main six and the students do not need accreditation, and that they will open their school on their own without external validation, because they know in their heart and in their soul that what they're doing is giving all the information necessary to really have these students grow and to give them the success and the desires that they want. And they could care less if they could get the official documents on it, because they know that the information is worth so much more and will be so much more powerful in the long run if they can get it in the right hands. And that's really exactly what they do, and it changes everything because their focus shifts not from external validation, not from you get a degree. It shifts to a quest for knowledge and a quest for friendship that's been exemplified in these 6 students, which is just so powerful. And she says she will not stand for it. And she does the best thing possible, which is to move forward in times of doubt and go towards that information. And they open up the school and they just start teaching again, but they do it their way. There's just this insane Frank Sinatra song. It's called Your Way. And it's the same thing. It's this idea that you want to do things your way. And sometimes you do need that external validation at the beginning, but in the long term, it all has to come from within. It must be you doing the work, putting in the effort, and having the impact that you want if you want to have any sort of sustainable long-term organization. And that's exactly what happens here with the main 6 and with these kids, that they realize that it is their duty and their potential and their identity to make the school a reality. And then they come together and they're all happy and everyone's amazing, and class goes back into session and everyone just has the best time ever. Because in the end, they realize the most important asset is not some sort of degree, it's not some sort of external validation, but it's from within. And it's what the journey that they will go through as individuals and as groups and as masterminds. And that is so much more powerful than any amount of external accreditation or degree could ever even dream of being worth. Because they have the most powerful thing of all, which is each other and their friendships, which is just ridiculously cool. So let's go to the next one. That's awesome. And so you'll see these guys. They're going to appear a whole lot more. And if we get like one, usually they appear as a group, but it's just Sambar, and I give you all the names, but it's not a huge deal. But you got Sambar, Gallus is the cool blue griffin, and then Smolder's like the awesome orange dragon, and Yona is the big yak, and Ocellus is the little the blue changeling, and Silverstream is the sea pony. So I'll refer to those guys by name, just a heads up on who they are, because they do appear a good bit. So I'm definitely going to use their names. So just so that you know, those are who the young 6 are, who are they're a cool little mastermind, right? They're being taught by the best on the planet, and when you get taught by the best on the planet, guess what happens? I'll tell you a little secret about what happens. You can become the best on the planet!